am making pie because it seems like every November I become a bit obsessed with pie. This can sometimes happen in July too, when there's huckleberries ready for the picking and I can't resist a good pie. Now, let me tell you, this becomes a little trickier when you're gluten-free. Not too much trickier, but a little bit trickier. So today in this video, I'm gonna be sharing 5 secret ingredients to keep your pie crusts flaky and delicious. Some of them are vegan, some of them are not. And I wanna just mention that you can play around with all of them and see what works for you. So there isn't really a secret combination other than I usually combine some of them together. But let's start first of all with the filling. And my favorite pie this time of year is apple. So I want to share with you first of all which apple I love to use the most and which I eat the most in November. So just one second. So when it comes to apples, not apples are made equally when it comes to pie. I like tart apples. If you can't get the apple that I'm going to recommend, I would recommend Granny Smith because they're a little bit firmer and a little bit more tart. This is a Macintosh apple and I love them. I absolutely love them. I will go out of my way every single year to get a bushel full of Macintosh apples, which lasts not as long as I would like it to be. So when I make my apple pie filling, I slice up about 6 apples, and I don't really worry about cups. You'll see most apple pie recipes will talk about 6 cups of apples or fruit, and in general that's pretty good. I am also not super scientific about my measurements, so I'm just going to show you the measurements that I use and kind of guesstimate what I think will work out, and usually it works out great. So first off, I put a little bit of lemon juice on top of my apples. If I have fresh lemons, I'll squeeze those, but since I don't, I usually have this on hand just in case. Then I will put just a little bit of vanilla extract and just dabble it on there. And then I usually put in some sugar. So I don't typically use cane sugar, so I use a little bit of date sugar, and I use maple syrup. And I find that maple syrup is pretty equivalent 1-to-1. I don't use as much, but I'll use about half a cup. So I put that in, and then of course the spices. I use a blend called apple pie spice, and I just liberally shake it on in there because for the most part you can't get too much apple pie spice. And then this is called ginger spice. It's got a little bit more ginger in it. Also good for pumpkin pies. Pretty much the same spice you can use in some ways for both of them. Pumpkin pies you need a little bit more. This is cardamom, one of my favorite spices. So I use that. And sometimes I'll add on a little bit cinnamon. Today I'm not feeling it. So we'll just go straight for the thing that will thicken things up for me, which is Arrowroot Starch. And again, I just sprinkle a little bit over my apples. And that will create a little bit more of a thicker sauce. A lot of times that's thickened with wheat. And so then I just stir it up. And here's the other secret that you should know, and that is a lot of times, my dog's just saying maybe it's time for me to go out, so I might go do that. As you can see, now I've filled up my pie plate with my 6 apples, which turned out to be almost perfect for the size. So that's why I always pick 6. Okay, I put on my apron. This is an apron that my mother-in-law made. She is in her 90s, and she makes these beautiful aprons out of the back of flour bags from my brother-in-law's bakery. So pretty cool, a gift. really made with loving hands, obviously. Let's see if I can get it off here. So you can see the back of it has some gorgeous Red Rose Flower Company logos on it. So it's always fun to wear that when I'm making pie, and pie can get a little messy. So the pie crust that I'm using is from Bob's Red Mill. I really like their mix. It's a blend of white rice flour, brown white rice flour, potato starch, tapioca flour, there's some sugar, salt, and xanthan gum. And then the recipe calls for 12, I'll read it out to you, 12 tablespoons butter cold, plus 4 tablespoons shortening. That's a lot of fat. I'm not gonna lie, it's a fat-filled crust, but that's what also makes it flaky. And if you like really nice rich pies, I'm afraid you just can't get around that. But I'm going to share 2 secret ingredients that will also help make things a little bit more flaky. So I like to use 8 tablespoons of butter, and then I use 8 tablespoons of shortening, or lard, or beef tallow, depending on what you prefer. So if you're vegan, obviously you could also add in Earth Balance. It gets a little watery, I gotta say. So I've tried that a few times, but it's definitely can work as a vegan option. And I like palm shortening. All right, now for the secret ingredients to the pie crust.